Hello, I'm Deeps, and today Diana and I will be discussing Hurricane Katrina.
The picture on the left shows 5 different levels of the hurricanes. Katrina has reached the highest standard level, which is 5 at the worst of its form, and it's one of the top 5 most destructive hurricanes ever recorded in United States history. Well, this natural disaster has to be responsible for the deaths of over 1,833 people. Now, I'm going to talk about what specific happened during this natural hazard. On August 24th, the tropical storm Katrina started from the center of Bahamas, which is a tiny island next to USA, Florida. The storm continued to get bigger and bigger and made its initial landfall along the southeast Florida coast on August 25th as a Category 1 hurricane, which means the very beginning of this hurricane was not that serious. However, on August 28th, Katrina gets in touch with the warm waters at Gulf of Mexico and intensified rapidly to Category 5 status and causes a series of damage. Finally, Katrina weakens to Category 3 before making landfall along Mexico coast and fully stops on August 29th over east central Mississippi. Second, I'm going to talk about what causes the hurricanes. Warm waters and winds are the ingredients for hurricanes, and that's why hurricanes usually started from tropical regions near equator, where the ocean is at least 80 degrees Fahrenheit. These warm waters evaporate, creating warm, moist air in company with the huge winds on ocean. And after the warm, moist air rises up to a high level in atmosphere, it begins to cool down. Way up there, the water vapor condenses back into the liquid water droplets, and water vapor droplets in the atmosphere form clouds, including big stormy clouds. As the warm air continued rising upwards, the wind on ocean began blowing in a circular pattern around the center. Once the spinning wind reaches 74 meters per hour, the storm has officially become a hurricane. Well, hurricanes are now able to survive long on land because once a hurricane hits the land, it runs out of warm, moist air and the winds begin to weaken. But hurricanes can still cause a lot of damage to communities near the coast.
Impacted geography in the case of Hurricane Katrina. The hurricane began as a very low-pressure system over the Atlantic Ocean. The system strengthened, forming a hurricane that moved west, approaching the Florida coast on the evening of the 25th of August 2005. It made landfall in Florida and Louisiana, particularly in the city of New Orleans. The hurricane caused catastrophic damage from central Florida to eastern Texas. The storm surge caused substantial beach erosion, and in some cases it completely devastated coastal areas. New Orleans was specifically vulnerable to the hurricane because of its geography. It was at a disadvantage even before Hurricane Katrina hit. The region sits in a natural basin, and some parts of the city is below sea level, meaning that it is particularly prone to flooding. The primary and secondary impacts of Hurricane Katrina. Primary impacts. The strongest winds during the 25th to 30 August period was over the coastal areas of Louisiana and Florida. Although the winds did not directly kill many people, it produced a storm surge over the ocean which led to flooding in coastal areas and was responsible for many deaths. Hurricanes can create tornadoes. 33 tornadoes were produced by Hurricane Katrina over a 5-day period. Secondary impacts. The hurricane destroyed a lot of key infrastructure in the areas it was targeting. $105 billion worth of damage was made due to the hurricane. It caused destruction of highways, road bridges, also interrupted oil supply and the export of grain, and lastly disabled transportation systems. In fact, 7 million US gallons of oil was leaked into the ocean due to the hurricane. Shelters were created for those who could not afford to evacuate the region, but there was a shortage of food and a lack of hygiene.
Last but not least, here are the citations for this video, and thank you for watching.